Welcome, everybody, to a great Friday here. I'm here with my sidekick and co-host, John Ruffini. Johnny, what's up, buddy?
Richard, how are you, man? Happy Friday.
Dude, it is Thrive Friday. You ready for this, man?
Heck yeah.
We got all our sisters with us today, man. You ready for this? It's sisterhood and staffing, I call it, seriously. But before we even start, John, let's give a shout out to the girls, man. Everybody at Thrive. I swear to God, man, you guys are the best. I tell you what. Everybody on here and everybody else, it's 700, 800 people that's going to be joining next week. I mean, this is an event that is, I'm going to tell you, Diana, this is like a wave, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger, like a tidal wave. You know that. Before you know, it's going to be a tsunami. You know that one year.
I love all the ocean puns, Richard. I'm here for them. So we'll have a Thrive tsunami.
Exactly. And Erica, and Stephanie, welcome to the show. And Stephanie, this is your first time on the live feed, right?
Yes.
Well, welcome. This is it. The whole world knows who you are now.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. So, Diana, let's just jump into this real quick about Thrive. I mean, this has been going on for how many years now, the virtual event?
We started our first virtual program during COVID, the peak of COVID. And I'm seeing all these flashbacks on my phone of highlights from 2020. But really, we're about to see a flashback from 2020 Thrive in May is when we had our first virtual program. We were pivoting like everyone was doing in 2020. And we decided to try, and we called it Advancing Women Leaders in Staffing in May. We had 250 attendees our first time. And then we held the second one in November of 2020 because it was still strange times and no one was going to events yet. And we held our second Thrive. That's when we branded it Thrive for the first time in November of 2020 and had 450 there. And so ever since then, it's really met a need within our industry for virtual programming and community and pulling together women in staffing that maybe don't get to attend our in-person events. This is the event that they're able to attend annually to connect with other women leaders. And so it's our highlight of the spring, right? May. It was in late April or May.
I love it. Perfect time of the year, right, John? It's like spring. You're just blooming, man.
This is an event that's done more than bloom. I mean, this whole movement, kudos to you guys for just keeping the momentum. So many times people start these things and then they kind of die out. This has been something that there's been so much commitment behind it from a number of channels that it's so great that it not only has continued, but it's gained strength through the years. So it's great to see.
Yeah, it's been fun to see grow with the leadership of our council volunteers who are committed to it. We have a group of council that helps plan our programs and our content and make sure that it's timely and relevant and really addresses a need within our community. So it's their passion that has helped make this come to life. That is a committed council of volunteers that helps build this and market and promote this content too. And we also are really thankful for our sponsors. We've had a lot of sponsor interest grow over time, and they have made this program possible along with all of our other programming that we've done year round.
I love it. You know what I love, Diana, real quick, is it's just not ASA. You bring other associations in. It's like the whole group of everybody in recruiting, staffing, HR, and everywhere.
Yeah. And the thing too, is that when we look at because we like to always look a little bit at the data of who attends this program, there's people that this is really sometimes the only event they get to attend with ASA is Thrive Virtual. We are intentional about the price point so that people can bring teams to this event and have the conversation internally after the event about takeaways. But we also make it at a price point that's accessible, that even if you maybe don't have company support to attend, you can pay for it yourself. It's cheaper than a Target run, right? To come and invest in yourself for 4.5 hours on an afternoon. And so that is an intentional part of our pricing strategy for Thrive Virtual, is to attract an audience that doesn't get to have the ability to come to our in-person events, but to still build themselves up professionally and to create community and connections with the industry, which we know are really essential for women rising up.
I just want to jump in on that. I think the affordability of this event makes it so popular and, so well attended for everyone. It's, what is it, $110 for an individual, for a member. And non-members can also come. I think that's another myth. So for any listeners that are wondering if their company's not an ASA member, can I still go? I had that conversation this morning with someone. It's $160. And then if more than one person comes from a member company, it's $75 per additional member, which is a huge price break. And it's a really great way to help provide a little boost for people who might be burnt out and just need a little break.
I love that you guys do that. I've got 4 ladies on my team, and all 4 are going. So that extra, incentive makes it real easy to say, "Yep, everybody sign up right now."
And
Yeah,
I'll-
especially. Yeah, go ahead, Stephanie.
No, I was going to say the cool part about this program too for me is if you're in leadership, come. But even if you're in an emerging leader or you're on staff, any part of your organization, there is a session for you. So they've really been intentional with the agenda to make sure that there's a place for everyone and everyone has a takeaway from this event. So.
And I would add too that it's not just for women, right? Like it is also for the allies of women. And, I think every year you guys see an increase in male participants or otherwise. And it really is for everybody. And it, the affordability speaks to that as well.
And we're always looking at.
I mean, the
changing
numbers are
program.
like outstanding.
Yeah. This year we changed up our program slightly too, based on some feedback from the council. That's what I love about the volunteers that are on our Women in Leadership Council is we can do things well and get great feedback, but what else can we just change up to make it even better? And so we decided this year to do speed talks in our virtual programming. We trimmed them up. We wanted to keep the afternoon moving quickly, keep people engaged in the content. So we've got breakout sessions, and then we added new speed talks. And that's what Erica Diaz is one of our speed talkers this year. And it just is going to keep the afternoon. We're addressing a lot of topics, and we're moving through them fast. So we're excited to have the speed talks as a new addition this year.
That is awesome there. Hey, tell you what, Diana, do you want to just jump into it here and talk about the keynote speaker? I mean, she's a rock star for sure.
Yeah, let me share a little word from Corey Lowe. So I'm going to put her up on the screen. Give me just a second.
All righty.
Yeah.
And going through this process, how do you decide? Like, do you guys have like a board that goes who should be the keynote speaker? I mean, this is not just overnight. How do you find the right fit?
Well, I can explain that from our perspective while she's pulling that up. So everyone that's involved in this program is a volunteer that's not part of ASA, and we're on a Women in Leadership Council. And what's really cool is you get to, if you're selected to be on there, you meet all these other women in the industry who want to volunteer and help. And then we all bring perspectives to, hey, I've heard about this speaker, or it'd be great if we address this topic. And then Diana and her team have already had keynote speakers that they go through and select, make sure fit, maybe have availability, pricing. And they seem to build this pool, like a keynote pool, speaker pool, and we go through it. We add to it constantly. Maybe if one's not selected for this event, they could be selected for a different event with Thrive. So it's a really cool process, and everybody's opinion is valued and taken into account, which is
There it is. Everybody's opinion. I love that.
All
Here
right,
we
let me
go.
hit play on Corey.
Hello, women at the American Staffing Association. I wanted to drop in really quick and introduce myself. My name is Corey Logaitis, and I help women in the workforce become confident leaders by identifying and addressing their personal overwhelm culprit. I'm excited to announce that I'm going to be sharing with you all exactly how to do this as your keynote for the ASA Thrive virtual event happening on May 2nd. In the meantime, feel free to connect with me on social media. You can find me on every single platform at the handle I am Corey Lowe. And if you have any overwhelming challenges that you specifically would like to have covered, definitely feel free to send me a DM. I do understand that due to the nature of life's overwhelming circumstances, sometimes topics can be a little bit sensitive. So if you send me a message, let me know what it is that you're currently struggling with. I can incorporate it into the keynote, or I could potentially answer your questions behind the scenes in the DMs. I look forward to connecting with you on social and cannot wait to see you on May 2nd. I'll see you then.
Woo!
Nice.
That is nice.
Well, a little bit of energy coming through there.
Heck yeah. And you know what I love about it, girls, that you actually have the keynote going first, not at the end. It's like, boom, right in the beginning.
Well, we have two.
I was going to say, Stephanie, we got two.
We have an opening and a closing. keynote.
Oh, wow. Nice. Who's the closing one then?
Her name is Nilu Kaur, and she's speaking about the topic of self-advocacy. So, that's
Excellent.
Stephanie mentioned the council all giving feedback. We take what topics bubble up as something we need to address this year, and then we see who do we have in our speaker pool that hits these topics, and then we make a bunch of options available to the council to really upvote their top speakers for this year. And so obviously the industry is going through a bit of a hard time right now, and women especially feel like they're shouldering a lot, both personally and professionally. And so the topic of overwhelm and how to manage that in your life came up. But then specifically self-advocacy for what your needs are as a working woman came up. So that's our closing keynote. And it led us to Erica, because we were really talking about, in her speed talk topic, we were talking about mental health and the importance of that. When we think about what brought our Thrive community together 4 years ago in 2020, when we first did this, it was that women needed a community because we were all at home doing all the things with work and personally, as we were in our houses. But now some of that load is still here 4 years later, and making sure that you're prioritizing your mental health while juggling all of these things is important too. And so that topic came up on one of those calls that Stephanie mentioned, and someone said, what about Erica to do a talk on that, And so Erica, do you want to tell us a little bit about your podcast and how that came to be even too? Because I think that's a fun story about community and support that you found.
Yeah. So I love this story so much. I actually, my podcast was born after attending Thrive Live last year in October. So I had gone through a mental health crisis last year, early in the year, and attended Thrive Live, was at a networking dinner that I technically wasn't invited to, but I crashed it anyway. It was fabulous, and met just the most amazing set of women who really, we talked about mental health at dinner. We talked about a few different things. And I was like, I want to do something with my story. I just don't know what that is yet. And so following that dinner the next day, I was with Amy Yak. She was one of the speed talkers as well. And she was like, just start with like sticky notes and put them on your wall. And so I did this. And from that, honestly, Mental, the podcast was born. And it is all about raw and authentic conversation regarding mental health. So a lot of it is my own personal journey, but we have guests that join that talk about their struggles with mental health or whatever experiences they're going through. And so that led us here to my talk on how my identity, how work became my identity, and then it broke me. So it is really kind of a cautionary tale, if you will, on how circumstances led to my identity being and my self-worth being chained to productivity. And ultimately, it's what led to my mental health crisis early last year. So I'm excited to be sharing the story along with the other amazing speakers on the topics that you guys have. I mean, truly, this year, I think the lineup is phenomenal. Excited to be a part of it.
Erica, that is such a powerful story of hearing how this all got started. I didn't know the inspiration was coming out of the Thrive Live event and a conversation at dinner. It's such a good testament to the power of the community that Diana and the Women's Leadership Council have really, and the passion behind women supporting women. And one of the questions Richard asked a minute ago, it's so related to what you just said, Erica, is about how do you find the keynotes and how do you find speakers? One of the other topics that we always talk about is how more women should use their voice on stage. And, we're always quick to judge another manel, all male panel at a conference. But yet, sometimes women don't raise their hand. So one of the other initiatives that was launched last year, which Amy Yak, that Erica just talked about, put her hand up for, was something called Thrive X, which is an incubator to help encourage more women to speak. So Amy Yak was an applicant for the Thrive X program and got on stage, used her voice, and inspired Erica, which is such a cool pay it forward story. I didn't Didn't hear that before. It's awesome. I look forward to your session and subscribing to your podcast, Erica.
Yes, please do. That's how we get the message out and help others who might be feeling kind of like they're in a dark and alone place. That's the aim of the podcast. The other thing I would call out is the networking dinners that ASA did at Thrive Live last year. That was such an amazing add-on because it created this group of women. We call ourselves the Oyster Club, but we meet monthly. And we have been doing so since October of last year from the Thrive Live event. So it just really, truly speaks to the community that is created out of these types of events. So thank you to ASA and everyone in the Women in Leadership Council for putting this event on.
That's what I think people need to realize is it's much more than just an event. It's much more than just a conference or a seminar. The relationships that you can gain and build through this community that can, it's very much of, hey, let's help each other out and lift each other up. We've got a history of that with this crew. And I don't think you can underestimate the power of that network. If you're looking to attend, don't just attend to be a silent, static listener, if you will. Get involved and put yourself out there because you never know who you're going to meet and how they're going to impact your life.
And John, I'll tag on to that because my first Thrive Virtual was 2 years ago. And that was my first exposure to this group and this network that's part of ASA. And I was blown away. I mean, I'd heard of it, but I had no idea. And I had not been great at networking in the past. And so if you're needing to increase your networking in the industry, this is a great small step you can do that instantly gets you in the room with industry peers across the country. I mean, you think at your desk in your company or what you're doing at work is so small, but then you get in this room and you realize the magnitude and the reach that we have across the industry. And it is so cool. I've made such great connections from joining this group. And then I started volunteering with the council and now I'm heading up the task force for this. And it's incredible. I mean, it'll change your life. It really will.
You know what I love about everything, guys, is like, seriously, at the end of the day, you have somebody to lean on. Seriously, out of 700 people, you're going to have good connections. You probably have 600 people on LinkedIn, friends. It's like you're not doing this by yourself anymore. Even in staffing and personal life, you have best friends. Erica, I got to tell you real quick, you're going to come on my platform. I got to hear your story, deep dive.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just love that. Like, when you're a speaker, it's great. But when you have stories to tell that you lived it, that's what it's all about. When we talk about storytelling, I mean, that's going to bring tears to people's eyes from joy of how you're going to make an impact on other people. So I'm excited about that speed talk. That's going to be awesome. So I got to ask you real quick, Diana, Sparkle and Grit. How did you come up with this topic? And I think you have Wendy's going to be part of it, right? Meadows?
Yeah, Wendy she's really cool. Her name was given to us and her book is Sparkle and Grit, which is a great segue because she's doing a follow-up book club for our attendees this year. So we're doing some book club conversations with a few of our speakers. Both Nilu and Wendy are doing networking calls after the event, so to keep the community alive and connected. But it goes in the theme of like resiliency and not giving up, and it all kind of ties in really well to the themes that the group has this year. She's a cool story. She's a coach, but she's also an attorney who does mediations for families. But she turned into coaching as well. And so she runs both businesses side by side and has a really cool journal as well around her grit framework, which she'll review to allow you to achieve those things that you set out to achieve. So I know our industry loves good planning tools too. So it's just like, I have a whole planning journal. I was like, oh, okay. So we're giving some of those away. Must be present to win though.
There we go. She had to put that little sideline at the end. Hey, John, you know what I love about it? These topics are like they're eye catchers. Me with marketing, it's like Sparkle and Grit. Like you really want to know what the hell is about.
A lot of thought goes into putting this together for sure. I mean, there's a lot of hours that we don't see that goes on behind the scenes. I'm sure that you guys are putting together. It's not just thrown together. There's a lot of thought. I was just thinking about all the things like, okay, putting this together, it's like, you've got to think theme. You've got to think what's going to be impactful. What are, the current things that women need to be addressed in the industry and what's going to help them most. There's a lot of conscious thought that goes into it, which one of the reasons why it makes it so powerful.
It is.
Yeah, that's the group that Stephanie led up this year, and really talking about exactly what topics we want. And then during our breakout sessions, we have 3 concurrent sessions at one point in the agenda, and one is focused for more executives, one for more emerging leaders, and then we committed to offering just a pure networking session. So maybe the other 2 topics don't resonate with you, or you are really there just to make connections in the industry. You can network on around the topics and themes from Corey Lowe's opening keynote with other women in the industry. So there's still the opportunity to just get to know some other peers and have some good takeaways from the opening keynote. But we plan all of that topic intentionally for different career stages and challenges that we know women are facing.
Well, what I love is, John, did you see the one session? It's the board of directors.
Yes.
How did you come up with that? Seriously, to put more people on the board of directors that are women. I love this topic.
I would love to answer that. It's been a really hot topic, and this is a whole other staffing shark series, because there is a whole hot topic discussion among the Women in Leadership Council and men in our industry, quite frankly. And there's been an evolution here. ASA is committed to this programming on this topic. I led a webinar. I was facilitating a really fun dialogue about the staffing industries, the equity or the lack of equity at the table for the staffing industry with Carrie Sarka and Peter Quigley and Jennifer Ives for Women's History Month. And in preparation for that webinar, we were trying to find male allies who are responsible for building boards in the staffing industry that have equitable boards. And do you know how hard that was to find?
Harder than we probably imagine.
Oh my.
So if you will have some names, I'd love to hear them, because I've become a researcher of this topic. Peter Quigley is definitely a unicorn and is wonderfully motivated and passionate about how inspired he is by his own mother, being a fierce woman leader who was out working really hard. And he paves the way for other women in his own story. But this topic of joining a board of directors, the myths behind it, the facts behind it, and unpacking it. I'm personally very excited to hear from Nichelle Maynard Elliott, who is going to be having a discussion with Melinda Kirk, who is facilitating. She's the Chief Legal Officer of GDH, and they're going to have an engaging discussion about the curiosity of board service, whether it's private sector, public sector, helping people think about preparing for it. What's the difference potentially between a resume and a board bio? Who knows what we're going to unpack in that session. But certainly it's going to be an interactive discussion. So I think it'll be very well attended. And certainly there are not a lot of seats open in our industry. And if there are, people want to learn more about finding out about it, as well as exploring board opportunities in other industries, whether it's private, public, or nonprofit.
It's awesome to see. I mean, ASA has been a leader in that and setting the tone. I mean, their board has shown nice diversity of late, which is wonderful to see.
The first in our end.
Go ahead. We're all just going to talk at the same time.
I'm sorry.
You go ahead, Stephanie.
Well, I was going to say
Erica.
too, from my perspective, I was really excited that we were able to add this on to our agenda, because if you've ever been intrigued on how to position your career in that way, or how do I get there in 10 years, or how is that even an option for me? It might not even be in your frame of thought. So it gives us the exposure to talk to people about it, do Q&A, get that feedback, and then see if that's something that it just gives us the exposure we've never had. And I love it. I'm really excited. And then to answer your question, Richard, about how do we come up with these, at the end of Thrive, virtual or live, we send out, we ask for feedback on what they liked, what people didn't like, and we're constantly reading that and tweaking the events for next year. And so we really do love and take their feedback, anyone who attends, and put that into consideration.
Question for you ladies. In addition to helping women position themselves, to your point, Stephanie, of, hey, is that within my reach, and how do I go about getting myself in a position to be on a board? There are a growing number of female CEOs in our industry, which I love seeing, who often, I imagine, have to face boards that are largely male dominant. Do you guys coach them as far as the challenges with that and things they have to be ready for?
Oh, that's a good question for Nichelle. She'll take that one live. We can give that one to her. But that's, the foundation of what we do with our programming just year round is to support women with where they are at in their career. And so that's where the topics of self-advocacy and speaking up and confidence and all of those things are going to prep a female CEO being in front of a male board. But hopefully it's a gender diverse board if we put more women on boards in the future. Right. And you know what? It's interesting that you bring that up, because one of the things that we've heard too is that women-led organizations tend to have more women in C-suite.
Makes sense.
With them. Diverse-owned businesses tend to have a more diverse staff. I mean, they see those numbers. Some of them don't share the same challenges, but for those that are led by men, we don't see as much visibility for women. And so we just need to support women in terms of advocacy and confidence and providing some of those soft skills that are really essential for career growth. And I think that that's what we do year round with our women's program.
Right.
Yeah, I would say 100%, John, to answer your question, maybe not specifically for the board, but if you think about the statistics, as SIA does the report with the WBC, and there's less than 20% of women in the executive leadership roles for staffing firms in the 100 million plus rank. There's very little gender representation in just leadership. Forget the board for a second. So the women in leadership community that ASA has really built, Thrive being one place to get engaged, 100% is there to support women who are sitting at the table with men. I mean, it's very factual, right? There are women at the table with lots of men. And I personally have had the privilege of being at a table with amazing men and great, incredible male allies. And we need the support of the women. And Peter said this, my favorite quote of the webinar I had is, he's like, you need to talk to more people that look like me. Because that is where the power is. That is where the allyship to enlist allies and supporters. So as Eric Diaz mentioned, this isn't just for women. We need folks that are really passionate about helping support and create more seats at the table, if there aren't any, to bring more women up the ranks, whether it's board or leadership. And if it's not in your own company, you can find the network and community through the ASA community to support you.
Or look at the stats out there. Women-owned companies, the growth doubles the men growth. Seriously, it is out there. Seriously, it's the real deal. So, I just love it. Seriously, all joking aside is like, when I'm in a board meeting, I mean, the women combined with the guys, you just got to be an open mind and think, and I think that's the big thing is a lot of people they want to be closed-minded. This is where we have this coalition now to keep open minds for everybody.
Yeah, and I would add too, we've talked a lot about networking as, somebody who attended Thrive Live for the first time in October, I've got to say, and especially because of the affordability, creating greater reach and access for individuals to participate, that because of the topics in the community, it really made networking very easy. So if you were somebody who is a little hesitant about putting yourself out there to network, I really think the community that attends Thrive will welcome you with open arms. And one of the things that we learned at last year's Thrive Live, right, we talked about your network being your net worth. And I think this is a perfect event to try and network and expand what that looks like for you. And it just really came naturally. So anybody who's nervous about that, because I know we're not going into a room full of people, but I would just encourage you to be open-minded there, because it really is a community with open arms, and it's been amazing for me personally.
It's a great testimonial.
It is 100%. And one of the other topics I want to talk about is the 5-step focus. I mean, about healthy, happy lifestyle. You know how it is. I mean, we're all everywhere. Who came up with this topic and the speaker?
The 5-step focus, is that Nilu, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah. So she's the one who's talking about the advocacy, and she's like, I'm going to have to do my best to take my keynote and put it in 30 minutes for you guys. But that's what she said. The takeaways that I can have are my five-step focus around advocating for yourself in the workplace. She's got a book that we'll do a book club about as well. And so she's going to walk us through that. On the prep call, she's not giving me the full 5 steps, but I've spoken with her and she's really inspiring. And so I'm ready for her to close out and leave our attendees with some good steps and takeaways that they can immediately put into action.
Actually, I think that's Amanda Jefferson.
Is it?
Yes, she came to us at Thrive last year and spoke on a different topic, and I'm obsessed with her newsletter. She has a phenomenal newsletter about really like simplifying your life with technology and everything else. So Amanda's phenomenal. I'm going to be really torn because her session is happening concurrently with the board conversation.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough to be.
We're recording them.
Okay,
so
great.
You can watch it later.
Yes.
Amanda's great. You know, she really won over our Thrive Life group in the fall. And so we know that we actually don't have a ton of overlap between these two programs, but she has fresh content as well that she's going to share with our Thrive virtual group. And it's been fun, you know, in terms of, I think about supporting women and supporting women speakers. Amanda Jefferson and even Corey Lowe, they both came to us from another keynote speaker that spoke at Thrive, Jess Ekstrom. And she's got a workshop program where she trains female speakers in the industry. And I just think about, we've bought in, we love all the people that have come through Jess's training programs, and we're able to support and amplify some of the work that she's doing because we know that Jess's message and delivery was so great with our group. And now Corey and Amanda, and there's other speakers that we've used as well that have gone through Jess's program. But I think it's kind of all getting back to the community of rising up women speakers.
Yeah, the network definitely goes further than just the staffing industry, for sure. That's part of this organization. And
so real quick, do you see a lot of people that attend afterwards? They want to speak the next year and they want to get involved, or maybe, like you said, Diana, get a newsletter out, a podcast. Like, it's just not getting work. It's other expanding things they're doing.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why we have so many applications to be on the Women in Leadership Council. It is these programs, which is amazing.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah,
it's a great problem to have. I think we had about 120 applications for our council this year.
Wow.
And everyone's wonderful. We'd love to have everyone involved. But just keep applying. If you didn't make it the first year, just keep applying the next year, because we really try and make sure that council has diverse career stages and titles and even sectors of the industry, so that we make sure that we are supporting women at companies of all sizes. You know, large companies have maybe ERGs and more support programs internally, versus smaller firms that don't have as much support. And so we need to make sure that we can support all of our women, which is why we have to have a really good mix of who's on the council, so that we get their perspectives in building this kind of program that we know goes over well.
And I would say this too, if you're listening out there and you're really trying to figure out a way to support your female employees, or really give them an outlet to learn and grow outside of your organization, but still be in the staffing industry, this is perfect. My business partner and CEO, Delibra Wesley, is the one who got me involved. And now it's like we are just passing the buck along and trying to get the word out, because it's something so easy that you can do. And it makes women feel so supported. And growing your network is so much more important than I ever would have thought. And so if you can give that to someone, you're not giving them a salary increase. You're giving them the ability to grow and network in the industry, which is invaluable. So
who you know is so important in any industry in life. I mean, it's how we get through it. I mean, no one goes through it alone. It's all about making those contacts and those relationships. And I love the fact that advocacy is on your agenda, because it's so important for people to be able to speak up. And I've got to think, what was going through my mind is, if someone's not used to advocating for themselves, A, it's really terrifying. And B, you got to hope that you have an environment and leadership that promotes advocacy and supports it as opposed to shutting it down. So that's a really big dynamic to cover.
It is.
Yeah, we're excited for that.
And you guys can still register, right? Everybody can still sign up.
Yeah, we have
There it is.
spots available still. We always see registrations coming in the last minute. That's the deal with virtual. They're like, oh, I think I'm free on Thursday. I'll come. And so there is still some spots available. We're just over 700 attendees, and we've got seats. So bring yourself, bring your team, find a friend, tap another woman that you think needs a little pep and some inspiration, and join us on Thursday.
This is going to be a blast. All right, so final thoughts. Steph, you go first. Anything else you want to tell everybody out there?
I mean, I already gave you all my favorite things. I said all my favorites. No, I am so excited. All I can leave you is with get involved. It has changed my life, and it has built me a network, made friends. I have grown so much because of being a part of this organization, and it's given me the visibility to see things that I never thought were going to be possible. And now I want to be on a board one day. We are in a startup. We started our company 3 years ago. So this has been great networking. I have so many people I can reach out to. Hey, what do you guys think about this? So it's just helped my life immensely. So get involved. The speakers are awesome. If you want to see something different, attend, give your feedback. We listen and we read it. And
you'll be on more podcasts now, right? First one, now you'll be on 50 next year.
I know. Okay, invite me back. I will.
Oh, you're always welcome back with the Shark. Erica Diaz, final thoughts. I mean, you got the speed talk, everything like that. What else are you going to give out there?
Yeah, I think I'm really excited, as I mentioned, about the lineup and the focus around mental wellness in general, not just my speed talk, but self-advocacy, not shooting on yourself, just the overwhelm that our keynote Corey will be talking about. I think this is just going to be a phenomenal event. I think it's timely. I think mental health and awareness regarding mental health is being talked about more and more. So I'm just really excited to have an event that is highlighting mental health awareness so much. So again, just thank you to everyone who's put it together.
Amazing. Diana.
It's me. Register
Any final
today.
thoughts?
AmericanStaffing.net/thrive. As Erica mentioned, we've got our team discounts, bulk discounts if you bring over 50 people. And if you aren't plugged into our community, this is the first step that can give you a community within our industry. So we hope that people will join us.
Join. Erica, bring it home.
There's really no reason not to come. And your number one reason might be, I'm so busy, I have too much to do. And this is the perfect example of an event where you're going to be so happy that you set aside whatever you thought was so important on Thursday afternoon and said, I needed exactly these things today. Whenever you cancel, whatever, clear your calendar, be fully present, and know that whatever is served up to you on this agenda of all these amazing speakers, content, and connections, it's going to be exactly what you need. And for leaders, it's the best investment in your people. You're going to get, 3x the productivity, engagement, and just investment in people's time, and lots of good discussions. If you're, for the male allies out there, come to a session with your team and have a discussion afterwards. That's how, have dialogue and get to know each other through some of these topics. It's a lot of fun, and hope to see everyone there.
Love it. Brother John, give it to me.
This has been fabulous. Thank you all for taking time out to come on and discuss this. I've always been a big advocacy for professional development, and that starts with the individual, and people need to invest in themselves. And this is a minimal investment that can pay ridiculous dividends long term. The event is appropriately named Thrive because it really does help you thrive in life and in industry. So if you haven't signed up, sign up, attend it. It'll change your life.
100%. And I'm just going to wrap it up like this. I love you all. This is amazing. Use my platform. You guys are always welcome to come on. Use Thrive for it. Whatever you guys need, I'm always there for you. This is one of the amazing moments I ever had in my life. Seriously, it was so fun to have this together. And I'm just going to wrap it up like this. Thrive, they're going to make you shine. And that's it. They're going to make you shine. That's the slogan.
I love
So
it.
till next time, make sure May 2nd, you're there because you're going to miss out. Take care,
Thanks
guys.
for your
I
support.
appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care.